Alright, what's going on, guys? gdoggcasey here, getting ready for another episode of Path of Exile. We're playing with the Chunky Char-Grilled Chieftain, and it's been going pretty well. Had a little bit of a rough start, tiny bit, nothing too rough actually, but we had a couple deaths, and things are starting to come into their own now. But we're far from our build, you know, and in fact, we're probably going to be switching off of even Molten Strike here soon in favor of Sunder, which, if my Path of Exile knowledge is up to par, we should be getting Sunder as a reward for beating Act 1. Here's where the captain is. He's going to turn on us, I think, make us fight him.
We remember you, Fairgraves. Your death will be much celebrated.
Alright, that completes the quest. Now we're looking for the caverns. I think they're probably going to be on the north side of the map. I think one of my neighbors is cooking something, but it's got this, not like a worry, but you know, when all of a sudden you start smelling something cooking and you're just like, well, I'm here alone with my dogs, and I'm pretty sure the oven didn't just like turn itself on. But there's like a slight worry in the back of my mind where it's like, what if it did? Or what if like something happened? But I think it's probably fine. I live in a building that has a lot of strange people, you know. It's I wouldn't even call it like a budget building either. Like the rent isn't particularly cheap, because it's a central area in my town, so I can walk literally anywhere I want to walk in this town. I can walk, and you know, it's good because of that, but also I think the price goes up due to it being centralized. But there's also a lot of, or at least a few, subsidized apartments in here. And I got nothing against people who need to live in a subsidized apartment, right? But like on that level, if your only characteristic about yourself is that you live in a subsidized apartment, I got no problem with you. But typically, no, that's not even a right thing to say. I don't mean typically, like I'm going to try to generalize everybody lives in a subsidized apartment, but there are types of people that can be drawn to that kind of thing. These types of people, for example, are prone to falling asleep with a cigarette in their hand and setting their mattress on fire, which sets the fire alarm off at 4 in the morning in the wintertime and forces you and your wife to get up in the middle of the night, round up all your pets, and take them outside in the cold in the winter in like as fast as you can from a dead slumber, which I will never forget, the day that I had to do that. Alright, we're moving up. Yeah, we're pretty much simply just going all the way up to Sanctity, right? I think there's a certain spot over here. It looks like one day we're gonna go, but that's later on. So yeah, we are heading up though. Just want to make sure I don't mess this up. But when that's happened in this apartment, I didn't just make that up. So that was a while ago, but whenever all of a sudden, just kind of out of nowhere, I start smelling like cooking, it just reminds me of that. Now that said though, before I will tell this story, because we're just sort of carving through the caves here, but you know, I can't really judge people too much because I have made a similar mistake. Not with fire, but with one of the other elements. It's opposite, actually. Water, specifically. Where this happened to me twice. And I hope that it will never happen to me again. But it is something I am constantly nervous about now. because of the fact that I let it happen twice. But I'll tell the story the first time. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was having a night owl type of night. And the new Eminem album came out, the most recent one, came out a while ago. And I was listening to it, and I was really kind of excited for it. So what I did was I had my wireless headphones on, these same ones, and I was listening to the album. I decided that it would be a great time to do dishes while listening to the album. So I go into the kitchen, I get the dishes ready, I start filling up the sink with hot soapy water, and I'm like, oh, you know what, I gotta go to the washroom. So I go to the washroom with my wireless headphones on, and then I leave the washroom, and I go into my office, which I'm not in my office now. I've actually moved my computer back to the living room because it allows me to just to hang out with my wife and my dogs a little bit more. There was a time when I was like, well, I'm recording a lot of YouTube videos. I should probably just have my computer in the office so that the dogs don't make sounds and get into the video. I'm past that now. You know, if the dog's gonna click clack on the floor behind me, I'm not gonna be too concerned about it. But anyway, I go into my office after leaving the bathroom because there was one of the songs that was playing, I was really liking it. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna check out the lyrics for this and see if I can follow the song and really get an understanding and just really enjoy this song. And then I did that to the next song, and then the next one, and then the whole album, okay? Pretty much the whole album. So I don't know if you can tell where this is going, but basically, hey, we're gonna get an essence here, by the way, which is gonna be potentially very good, but it hurts my heart telling this story. At some point, I decide, oh, I should leave my office for some reason. I don't remember what it was. And I step in water. And yes, I left the sink running with the plug, filling the sink, and just flooded my entire apartment. I had a near panic attack, quickly grabbed as many towels as I could, I got the mop, and my wife was sleeping. She ended up waking up due to me just sort of making noise cleaning up. And I was like, just go to bed, don't worry, I'm taking care of it all. Luckily, there was nothing too serious that came from it. It was, you know, some of the water got into the walls and shit, which made me a little nervous, but we got this, later on we got this sort of moisture, it's like this plastic bag that sucks up moisture or something, and it seems to have done a good job. I mean, there's been no problem, so everything's okay. But that was the first time I did it. And I was basically up until 4 in the morning cleaning up all the water, mopping everywhere, went through a bunch of towels, and it was a disaster. So I told myself that would never happen again. Well, I'll have you know, a few months later, it wasn't even a few years later, it was a few months later, I was playing it was Warhammer Total War 2. And I was doing the same thing. I was filling up the sink. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get these dishes soaked, because there was like whatever the situation was, particularly these dishes were caked with something. I don't remember what it was. So they needed to be soaked for a while. So I started filling the sink, and I probably did the exact same thing where I had to go to the bathroom and I forgot, and I came out into the office, or into the living room this time. This is the worst part about it, was this time my computer was in the living room, and I left the sink running again. And I had my wireless headphones on again, so I didn't hear the water dripping onto the floor. What I did hear, however long later, was the fire alarm go off. The fire alarm was going off, and I was like, what's happening? And I look over there to try to figure out what's going on, and there's water all over the floor again. And this time, literally the fire alarm went off because of all the water that had gone through the walls downstairs and kind of got stuck in, I don't know, they had some sort of emergency system that lets them know when there's like a flood or something. And I'm telling you, it makes me sick to tell this story, so if you want to roast me for this kind of thing. The landlord, luckily I'm not necessarily friends with the landlord, but we're we're on good terms because we pay our rent all the time, and we probably have one of the cleanest apartments in the whole building. You know, just because of the type of place it is, we're probably like VIP residents. Except for that day when I set off the fire alarm. There was a fire truck that showed up. He starts knocking on. I can tell he's going from door to door trying to figure out where this is coming from. He eventually, as I'm panicking, again, mops, towels, everything. The door knocks, and I open it. I see a fireman, and I see the landlord. He's like, "Are you flooded?" And I was like, I fell asleep with the water on. And I actually lied because I didn't want to say I was playing a video game with the water on. So I said I fell asleep with the water running, and he laughed. Luckily, it didn't cause a major problem. But like I said, even just telling the story just makes me sick. So I don't really have the right to pass a lot of judgment on people who fall asleep with a cigarette in their hand and set the whole apartment on fire, but, you know. The only reason why I even brought this up is because I can just smell my neighbors cooking something, and it just got me worried that maybe the oven was on, or the water was running. I swear, every time I think about Total War Hammer 2, or I think about that Eminem album, it reminds me of the gigantic mistake I made. And now I just never leave the kitchen with the sink running. Okay, alright, we're gonna use our ancestor here. There we go. We're approaching the end here. So yeah, that's story time with G-Dog and how he nearly destroyed his apartment twice. And then vowed to never do it again. I have a few stupid stories like that, but I'll hold on to them for future episodes when the inspiration strikes again. We are continuing to just murder everything. It looks like there's a Legion pillar over here somewhere. Just make sure we're safe. Looks like we are. The food smell is also just making me hungry. I'll talk about it a little bit here again, just because we're just sort of grinding, and I'm just looking for things to talk about. I promise I'm trying to whenever I talk about this, I want to make sure that I don't sound like I'm coming across as like preachy or anything like that. I don't trust that I'm going up the right way, but I think I am. Or trying to like brag or anything, because it's not meant that way, but I'm just looking for things to talk about. But because of this food smell, it's making me really hungry, because my wife and I have been doing this thing called intermittent fasting, which I really love. It's contributed, or it's helped out with weight loss heavily. And also just self-control and other things. And I do talk about it in some of my fitness videos, but or fitness and health videos. But if you haven't watched those, the gist of it is that we only eat food within an 8-hour window of the day. So that means from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. is when we're allowed to eat. And we just don't eat anything, any calories, when we're not within that window. So right now, it's 10 a.m., so I'm not in my, they call it the feeding window, which I think sounds weird, but I'm not in that window. So when I smell food, it gets my stomach grumbling. But I have a good mindset about it. Whenever I feel my stomach grumbling, I just tell myself, yeah, that's the intermittent fasting working, you know? That's me, my stomach is getting smaller. Which might not be exactly what that is, but that's what I tell myself it is. So that I can deal with it better. And you can drink black coffee to stave off the hunger. There's no calories in black coffee, so it doesn't count as eating or consuming anything that will trigger your body to start digesting. That's kind of the whole reason why intermittent fasting is good, because when you're running on empty, your body adapts in a different way, where it realizes it has to step up to survive because it thinks that it's starving. But I'm not starving. I'm a little bit hungry, but I'm not starving.
Rest with Hinekora, mother of the dead.
That might end up rolling well, so we'll pick it up. But so when you're in hunger mode, your body basically just like steps it up a little bit and works harder, but you gain that benefit of being in a fasted state where your body just works a little harder to be optimal, and you get that benefit. So that is kind of the reason why. And also when you trigger the digestive process, it knocks you out of that rhythm. So the longer you're not digesting for, the more adaptive your body gets to being in that mode, and the better off you can be in the long run. And I'm not going to make it a thing where I'm trying to convince you all to do it, but if you're interested in it, look up intermittent fasting. There's a good clip with Joe Rogan talking to a whole bunch of different people about it, including George St. Pierre, who's an MMA champion, and a couple doctors and shit. It's really cool. And I was sold on it. And we actually got so sold on it that we also decided to combine it with keto, the ketogenic diet, for a while. But as of now, we went on that for about a month, a little over a month, and then we actually decided to stop. Okay, here's Sunder.
Be well.
So Sunder is literally just taking the place of Molten Strike. Which is a little bit sad, but it's okay. So Sunder is going to have Ancestral Call support as well as Ruthless support for now. Once we start getting 4 links and stuff like that, that's when we will... that's when we'll start to be able to improve that skill even more. But hey, we finished Act 1 during that story time, so look at that. If you're interested in some of the diet stuff I was talking about, go ahead and check out those fitness videos, but it's not going to be the focus of what I talk about here. Hell yeah. So this is Sunder. It's got longer range than Molten Strike, and I think it does more damage. Molten Strike looks a little cooler, but Sunder is going to be helpful for us. And we're in Act 2, which is much more jungly. Hoping Ancestral support will work. I haven't actually seen it work. I'm on the lookout for it. It doesn't appear to be working though, does it? Unless I'm just blind. I'm not seeing it somehow. Well, it'll get stronger. I might replace Ancestral Support Gem then, because it doesn't seem to be working. So now our goal is just to find the encampment, which is like the hub world for Act 2. We just have to clear the map, basically. We'll get there. You can have an entire build in this game built around Sunder. Like, eventually the attack speed is going to get up, right? And then you're just going to be slamming the ground, like, super fast. And you can extend the range of it, I think, and turn it into a skill that kind of covers, like, the whole room. I think there's a way to give it 100% stun possibility as well, to just stop everything in their tracks. It's definitely more concentrated damage
Return to the dirt.
compared with Molten Strike. So Molten Strike, you know, has its moments where it looks like it might be a little bit better because it's a little bit wider of an AoE as opposed to Sunder where it's kind of in a straight line. But when you kite people and get them all bunched up right in front of you like this, like they don't stand a chance. And you just drop one of these to clean up the stragglers. There is the encampment. And again, if we were doing story mode, there'd be a lot of different people to talk to in here that have a lot of interesting things to say. We're skipping that for this playthrough. But if that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments if you want to see a playthrough where I actually talk to everybody and hear what they all have to say. Obviously, it's going to be a very long playthrough, and I don't know what kind of build I would do for it, but yeah, it's just something I'm willing to consider. All right, so let's take a look at our gear here. So now we're really focused on Sunder more so than anything else. 74. And if I replace it, okay, it goes down. So now we'll keep this. And we have some essence, right? So that's kind of what I was talking about. Before we use the essence, though, we're going to
Speak.
sell this stuff.
Going?
Oh, I did have essence already. I just didn't put it in the right place. Oh my god, that's me being stupid. What is this gem? Molten Strike. Yeah, we'll put you away for now. I might want to bring it back one day, but for now, we'll put it away. Okay, so before we use that specific piece, which we might end up using it anyway, we're going to check to see if there's anything we can buy. This is a good way. Like, see this sledgehammer? It requires level 17. What level are we? 16. We're almost there. So this sledgehammer is a nice 3-link with red. So I'm going to buy it because we already have this going. We can replace this with this sledgehammer, which is going to be a little bit better. So let's buy that. But we're also going to look for some other options. Maybe there will be some armor we can buy. We're really just looking at the links. It's all we really care about. We're not really getting much, so we're probably okay. Notice that a lot of our gear that we're wearing is actually non-magical. Like these steel greaves too might be worth powering up. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and level up as well. We're going all the way up to Sanctity, so we're almost there. And what we want to do is this item, okay? Take it over to the stash, throw it in there, and we're going to use an essence on it. So if we use this on a weapon, it leeches life. Physical attack damage leeches life, which sounds good. 200 melee weapon adds cold damage and increases spell damage. So we definitely don't want this. The cold damage could be interesting, but let's do the life leech. That sounds better to me. So we're going to grab that. We're going to right click, and what it does is it changes a normal item to rare quality, which gives it a whole bunch of bonuses, as well as one guaranteed bonus, like this one, where it's going to give me extra life leech. So we're going to use it on this. And now this weapon is really good. It's got a whole bunch of nice bonuses on it. We can use it as soon as we level up once. So we're going to do that. Now, this chest plate has a similar way of being upgraded, and so do these steel greaves. So we're going to do that with essence. So this one is armor. Cold resist is good, or energy shield. You know what? We'll go with the cold resist, because it's always good to add a little bit of cold resist. And then for the boots... Oh, is it just armor? So it's going to be just... We'll use both of them on both sets of armor. So now we're going to turn this into that. It has fire resistant and lightning resist. Look at all those resistance we just got for doing that, which I think is very good. So we'll just re-equip those gems. Now we're going to do it to this. Now, the cold resist is the only thing that's actually guaranteed. The other stuff is just kind of random. But I say we lucked out there. So here we got 10% increased movement speed, which is very important. So I think overall we got incredibly lucky with everything we just did. Ancestral Call support doesn't really work for that. So instead what I'll do is I'll throw that onto my single target. So maybe it'll call in extra people to slam the same guy, is what I'm hoping for. And we'll just have to find a different support gem for that. Now, something else we can do is we can head back to Act 1. Which I think we still have a quest to complete. Oh, maybe not. Did we complete everything? Yeah, I guess we did. And we can talk to Nessa. She's gonna sell... Wait, is it her? That sells gems. Yeah, she's gonna have some new support gems. I think if we type support, we can see which ones are support. So fire damage, life gain on hit, additional accuracy for Sunder, melee splash, knockback, stun support. Can get more stuns. That sounds good. Maim. That does like bleed or something, right? Oh. Ancestral Call, Onslaught, chance to bleed. Yeah, let's do stun support. So we'll buy this, and we'll connect it to Sunder. So Sunder's going to have more chance to stun, and I think that... I was even mentioning that there are builds that are built around that, so that should help. It's going to make us a little stronger. So now we have a bunch of options. We can kind of go in either way. What time is it? 28? You know what? I've had a few episodes that go over the 30-minute mark. It'd probably be smarter for me to just cut this one here so we can actually get started with Act 2 in the next episode. So I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. As always, let me know what you think about the videos in the comments below. I love reading comments on my videos, good or bad. Let me know what you're thinking, and we'll see you in the next one.